Mia Thompson stood alone on a quiet Santa Monica sidewalk, clutching her 6-month baby bump as the world spun out of control. Her loyal German shepherd, Buddy, lay broken beside her, his blood staining the concrete, his breath slipping away after a speeding supercar struck him and sped off. No one stopped, no one cared. People filmed, while Mia begged God for a miracle. Then, through the chaos, a stranger from her past appeared, Ethan Parker, a man who had once loved her in silence. And when he lifted Buddy into his arms, Mia saw something in her dog's eyes she would never forget. He wasn't giving up. He was fighting. For her, for the baby, for the life they were meant to share. What followed would expose corruption, topple the powerful, and remind the world what a mother's love and a loyal dog's faith can overcome. It's a story of justice, redemption, and the miracle that arrives when God sends help at the very moment you have nothing left. Before we begin, please subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with someone who needs hope today. Thank you, and may God bless you and your family. A warm ocean wind drifted through Santa Monica's late summer afternoon, the sun striking gold across the coastal sidewalks. Mia Thompson walked slowly along the familiar beachside street, her hand resting protectively over her round belly. She was 30 years old, 6 months pregnant, and carried the exhaustion of someone who had learned to survive with very little. Her dark brown hair, usually tied in a messy bun for her waitress shifts, framed a heart-shaped face with soft freckles and tired hazel eyes, eyes that held both fear and hope like two warring oceans. Her once slender figure now blossomed with new life, but the added weight only made her work harder to keep her balance, especially on days when the nausea returned like a cruel wave. Buddy trotted faithfully beside her. The German shepherd was 4 years old, muscular yet lean, with a proud posture, pointed ears, and a black and tan coat that shimmered under the sun. He wasn't just a pet, he was Mia's guardian, her companion through heartbreak and long graveyard shifts at the seaside diner. Buddy sensed her emotions before she even spoke, and whenever her anxiety spiked about money, the baby, or the future, he would nuzzle her hand as if saying, "You're not alone." Mia whispered softly, "We'll just take a quick walk, boy. Then Mommy has to get to work." Her voice shook a little. The rent was late again. The baby needed clothes. The doctor said she should eat better. The world demanded more than she could give. But Buddy was the constant she could hold on to. Cars glided past in lazy traffic until the uneasy quiet was torn open by an aggressive electric whine. A Tesla Model S, low, sleek, and painted a blinding custom neon blue, came hurtling around the corner like an angry mechanical beast. Music pounded from inside, bass shaking the windows. People on the sidewalk frowned and stepped back, muttering complaints about entitled tourists. At the wheel sat a young man, no older than his early 20s. His platinum-tinted hair and flawless skin screamed inherited privilege. His sunglasses reflected the world like nothing in it mattered, not the crosswalk, not the pedestrians, and certainly not a struggling woman holding her belly protectively. Mia's heart slammed. "Buddy, heel!" she gasped, pulling the leash. Buddy responded instantly, but momentum and panic tangled them for one fatal second. Tires screeched. A brutal thud tore through the calm. Buddy yelped, a sound too sharp, too full of pain, and his body collapsed against the curb. "No!" Mia's scream cracked the afternoon wide open. The Tesla slowed just long enough for the driver to glance back. His lips curled into a smirk, cold, entertained, and then he stomped the accelerator. The car roared away, leaving burnt rubber and horror behind. Mia stumbled to her knees, barely aware of the sharp shock shooting up her spine. Her pregnancy made it impossible to move fast, but she dragged herself toward Buddy, breathing in short, panicked gasps. "Buddy! Please, Buddy, look at me! Stay with me!" His breathing was shallow, each rise of his chest a fight against agony. One hind leg twisted at an impossible angle, fur torn where blood began to darken the pavement. His amber eyes darted in confusion, then softened when they met hers. He was scared, but still trying to reassure her. That made it worse, much worse. People gathered, phones lifted, they stared, some whispering, some recording, but no one stepped forward. To them, it was a spectacle, a sad drama unfolding beneath palm trees and postcard skies. To Mia, it was the world ending. "Please," she shouted, tears choking her voice. "He's my family. Someone call a vet. He's dying." Her heart pounded so violently she feared it might harm the baby. Fear surged, fear she might lose Buddy and fail the life growing inside her. She cradled Buddy's head, hands trembling. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry," she whispered through sobs, pressing her forehead to his. She saw the hunger in his eyes, not for food, but for survival, for her. Buddy whined weakly, trying to lick her hand, still protecting her even as pain threatened to drown him. "Somebody help us," Mia begged to the uncaring Heir. A couple paused, exchanged uncomfortable looks, then walked away. A group of teens filmed from a distance, giggling with morbid curiosity. The sun felt cruel now, exposing her humiliation and helplessness. She couldn't breathe, she couldn't think. She felt the universe closing its fist around her. A single truth cut through the panic. If she didn't get help now, Buddy would die there, on the sidewalk where they walked together every day. She held tighter, tears dripping onto his fur like falling salt. "Buddy, don't leave me too. You're all I have." Her voice frayed into a whisper, breaking under the weight of grief and fear and a loneliness she had hoped motherhood would erase instead of magnify. The Tesla was gone. The smirk lingered, and Mia, pregnant, desperate, abandoned, screamed for help again, praying the ocean wind might carry her plea to someone who cared. The world had narrowed into a tunnel of sirens in Mia's mind, sirens that did not exist. Her breath was short, her vision blurred by panic. Buddy's shallow whimpers sliced through her heart like broken glass. Every second felt like another step toward losing him. Then a voice cut through the chaos, a deep voice, steady and warm. "Mia?" She looked up, confused, tears burning her lashes. A tall man stood a few feet away, eyes wide with alarm as he took in the scene. His features had sharpened since she last saw him years ago, a chiseled jaw with the faintest shadow of a beard, thick, dark hair neatly styled, and piercing blue eyes filled with concern, not judgment, not curiosity, concern. He wore a crisp, button-up shirt and expensive watch, but somehow looked like he'd arrived there faster than thought itself. She blinked again. "Ethan?" Ethan Parker. The name tasted like memory. Lectures in crowded university halls, nights filled with youthful ambition, his quiet admiration always there, but never spoken aloud. He had been a shy, brilliant computer science major back then, often hiding behind a screen. Now he stood in front of her like a different man, confident, sharply dressed, radiating a calm that felt like a lifeline. "Mia, what happened?" His voice trembled slightly, the only sign of the shock he was surely battling. Her words tumbled out in sobs. "A car. He hit Buddy. He just left. Please, Ethan, he's dying." Ethan dropped to his knees beside the injured dog. He reached out cautiously, and Buddy instinctively growled in pain, but when the dog looked into Ethan's eyes, the growl softened into a surrender. Ethan hated seeing an animal suffer. He'd grown up with a family German shepherd that died while he was away at a summer program in his teens, too far to say goodbye. It had changed him. Now, seeing Buddy's trembling body stirred a wound he thought was long healed. "We're getting him help," he said, already moving into action. He removed his linen jacket and folded it gently under Buddy's head. Then, with strength that defied his polished appearance, he slipped his arms beneath Buddy's large frame, careful not to disturb the mangled leg. "Stay close to me," he told Mia. He rose with the dog in his arms, muscles tightening against the unexpected weight, but his grip never wavered. Mia struggled to her feet, clutching her stomach, her fear now mixed with disbelief that Ethan, quiet, sweet Ethan, was here in her darkest moment. He nodded toward a charcoal grey SUV parked along the curb, sleek, spotless, clearly expensive, the type of car that belonged to someone who had made it. His success was no rumor. She was now seeing it. Within moments, they were moving, Ethan driving with laser focus, weaving through traffic with precision. "Hold pressure here," he instructed, guiding Mia's shaking hand to Buddy's wound. Blood coated her palm instantly, sticky and warm. "Ethan." "Why?" "Are you here? How did you—" "I was meeting a client nearby," he answered tightly, eyes fixed ahead. "I saw the Tesla speed off. Then I saw you." The veterinary emergency hospital appeared like salvation, a glass building glowing beneath the afternoon sun. Staff rushed out as Ethan carried Buddy in, shouting medical details with surprising authority. "Severe trauma to the hind leg, possible arterial bleed." A nurse froze, startled by his accuracy, then quickly motioned them to a gurney. Buddy was whisked away through swinging doors, his cries fading into sterile hallways. An invisible force seemed to collapse inside Mia. She felt weightless, and not in the good way. As soon as Buddy disappeared, her legs buckled. Ethan's hand shot out, gripping her arm before she hit the ground. "Hey, breathe," he said, his voice lowering, grounding her. He's in the best hands now. But her breaths were scattered, stuck between hope and despair. "He can't die, Ethan," she whispered. He's all I have left." Ethan's expression shifted. Something fierce flickered behind his eyes. He remembered how she used to laugh, how life once sparkled around her. Seeing her like this, broken and cornered, ignited a protective instinct he didn't know he carried. A veterinarian appeared, Dr. Collins, a woman in her late 40s, with silver-streaked hair and a direct, no-nonsense gaze softened by kindness. "Buddy is stable for now," she announced, "but the leg is severely fractured. He needs surgery immediately." Relief flooded Mia's chest, until the doctor's next words fell like a hammer. "The total cost, including emergency care, will be approximately $12,000. $12,000. Mia's face drained of color. That number wasn't just high, it was impossible. She backed away, shaking her head. I don't have that kind of money. I can't." The ground began to tilt under her feet. Her baby kicked as if sensing her terror. Ethan stepped forward. "Do it," he told the doctor. Mia spun toward him. "No, Ethan, you can't." "Mia," he interrupted gently, "let me help." His voice was steady, but his throat was tight. He had spent years building wealth, creating products used by thousands. Yet none of it had ever felt as meaningful as this moment, when he could save the family she held in her arms. He turned back to the doctor. "Charge everything to me." Mia felt the world stop and restart differently. I can't accept." "You don't have to accept anything," Ethan said quietly. "You just have to let Buddy live." Her eyes overflowed with tears, not just fear now, but gratitude so heavy it hurt. As Buddy was taken into surgery, Ethan guided Mia into the waiting area. She sat, hands folded over her stomach, head bowed. He sat beside her, not towering, not distant, just present. For the first time in hours, she breathed without choking. But peace lasted only moments. Her phone vibrated. A message from her landlord. 72 hours to remove the dangerous dog or face eviction. Life struck again. And Mia understood. Saving Buddy was only the first battle. Cole Harrington lounged in a private booth of the Shoreline Club, a luxurious bar overlooking Santa Monica Pier. Neon lights reflected off the polished windows, painting his perfectly styled blonde hair with streaks of electric blue and pink. At 22, he was the entitled heir to Harrington Resorts and Development, a corporation notorious for buying up old neighborhoods and turning them into gleaming tourist traps. His father, Gregory Harrington, was a tall, immaculately groomed man in his late 50s, with silver hair always slicked back and a salt and steel smile that never reached his ice-gray eyes. Gregory was a businessman who disguised greed as progress, unaware or unwilling to care about the families displaced by his projects. He believed the world functioned best when everyone knew their place. Cole took after him in the worst ways. Cole held a cocktail glass lazily between two fingers, a smug smirk plastered beneath sunglasses he still wore indoors. Across from him sat Chad Miller, one of his hang-on friends, mid-20s, skinny, wearing a designer hoodie 2 sizes too big to look urban, and always laughing too loudly at Cole's jokes in hopes of collecting leftover power. Chad nervously checked over his shoulder before leaning in. "Dude, people are talking about what happened yesterday. You sure this won't bite you?" Cole scoffed, swirling the drink like he owned the ocean itself. "It was a mutt," he replied sharply, "and that woman, clearly a homeless nobody." He paused, jaw tightening, as the memory surfaced, not guilt, but irritation that she had screamed and drawn attention. "Don't worry," he added, confidence flooding back. "Dad's team will spin it. She'll be the villain." He sipped his drink, sealing his own lie with another smirk. Meanwhile, Mia's battle was only beginning. 2 days later, after her shift at the diner, its neon sign flickering like a heartbeat about to fail, she hurried back to the veterinary hospital. Her body ached from standing on tired legs, her belly tight from stress, but she tried to smile at the receptionist while checking on Buddy. "He's strong," the nurse, a plump woman named Marcia, reassured. "He's trying to sit up already. Brave boy you got there." The words warmed something fragile inside Mia. She entered the quiet recovery room. Buddy's ears perked up the moment he saw her, tail thumping weakly against the bedding. Carefully, she knelt, rubbing behind his ears. "Hey, baby. Mommy's here," she whispered. For a moment the world felt survivable. But outside that room, the world kept striking. Mia returned home, balancing the weight of pregnancy, hospital bills she didn't fully understand, and the threat of eviction looming like a storm cloud. She found her landlord, Mr. Danner, waiting by the stairs, mid-60s, balding, wearing beige shorts, pulled far too high, with eyes always calculating money. He held a clipboard like a sword. "Miss Thompson," he said flatly, tapping the paper. "You received the notice. 3 days left." "Please," she begged, voice cracking. "Buddy isn't dangerous. He was the victim, and I'm catching up on rent." "Not my problem," he cut her off. "Building policy says no aggressive dogs, and your balance is overdue." His bitterness was rooted not in cruelty, but in fear. Fear of losing his job, fear of upsetting the powerful owners above him. The owners, Harrington Holdings. The connection made Mia's blood run cold. On the street below, Ethan sat in his SUV, having insisted on driving her home. He watched the exchange from a distance, jaw tightening. He knew intimidation when he saw it. After Mr. Danner walked away, Mia reached the bottom steps with trembling legs. Ethan stepped forward, steadying her elbow. "They can't do this," he said, voice quiet, yet edged with steel. Mia stared at the sidewalk, the weight of everything dragging her down, rent, the surgery, the growing life inside her, the cruel laughter of a boy who believed money made him untouchable. Why is this happening, Ethan? Why can't the world just stop pushing? Ethan's heart cracked. He had spent years buried in work, chasing success in code and investments, thinking he understood struggle. But Mia's pain was raw, human, honest. Without a word, he helped her up the stairs and into her tiny apartment, sparsely furnished, canvases leaning in corners, a coffee machine that buzzed louder than it brewed. The place had warmth because she had warmth. After he made her tea, she sat on the couch, fatigue pulling at her eyelids. Ethan's voice softened. "I'm going to handle this." She attempted a tired protest. "You've done enough." "Not even close," he replied, and something serious ignited in his gaze. As Mia drifted into an exhausted sleep, Ethan slipped out silently. He drove across the city with a mission building like a storm inside his chest. If someone was trying to destroy Mia, he would destroy their lives first. He pulled up to a quiet rooftop cafe where a young man in his early 30s sat waiting. Liam Brooks, Ethan's most trusted employee. Liam had a scruffy beard, rectangular glasses, and the calm, unshakable presence of someone who had survived the foster care system and refused to let darkness win. He was brilliant with data and even better with secrets. "You got the plate number?" Liam asked casually, sliding Ethan a laptop. Ethan nodded. "Find everything. Traffic cams, Tesla cloud, dashboard logs. I want proof." Liam's typing was fast, determined, purposeful. "We'll bury him," Liam muttered, eyes flicking up with fierce loyalty. "Anyone who hurts animals and mums, I'm all in." Ethan stood on the rooftop, the ocean wind pushing against him. His gaze sharpened, turning toward the glittering coast where the Harrington Empire overlooked the city like a king sneering from a castle. This wasn't a coincidence. Mia was being targeted, and Ethan Parker was done watching from shadows. The hunt had begun. Mia stood outside the La Playa Gallery, taking a moment to breathe in the salted breeze of Santa Monica's evening tide. Her hands trembled as she straightened the loose white blouse that no longer hid her 6-month pregnancy. This gallery wasn't fancy, but it was a place that believed in giving young artists a chance. And for Mia, whose world had become hospital bills and eviction notices, it was the last fragile thread of hope she clung to. The gallery's owner, Elena Rossi, a woman in her late 40s with olive skin, sleek black hair, and sharp eyes that missed nothing, stepped toward her. Elena was petite, but carried herself like a queen who'd survived the fall of her own castle. She had once been a rising star in New York's art scene before a divorce and market crash forced her westward. Still, she fought, like Mia, to rebuild. "Your work is getting attention," she said warmly, tapping her clipboard. "One customer called earlier asking about your ocean series." Encouraging words, a rare gift. Inside, Mia arranged her paintings, seascapes bursting with color, each reflecting a dream of freedom. She wanted someone, anyone, to see them and think, "This woman deserves a chance." A chime rang from the door. A young man stepped in, tall and well-built, with a perfectly trimmed beard and slicked-back hair. His black designer jacket hugged broad shoulders, his bright watch face gleaming with wealth. He wore confidence like armor and a smirk that unsettled Mia. "Hey," he said casually, voice smooth like a salesman. "Heard there's a rising star here. You, Mia?" She nodded politely. "Yes?" His eyes scanned the room, but never her paintings. "These are nice," he lied, lips twitching. "I want to buy something special, something for investment." He finally stopped in front of her most personal piece, a painting of Buddy leading Mia along a beach at sunrise. Hope, loyalty, life. "How much?" he asked. Her voice wavered. "That one isn't for sale. It's everything has a price. he cut in, turning his back before she finished. Elena approached, sensing tension. "Sir, if you're looking for collectibles—" "Relax," he laughed. His name slipped from his tone like a threat. "Chad Miller, a friend of the Harringtons." Mia's breath hitched. She remembered Chad's face, the one cackling next to Cole in the Tesla. A chill spread across her skin. She tried to step away, but Chad leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You caused a lot of noise online, sweetheart. Maybe you should just disappear for a while." Elena stiffened. "Sir, I need you to leave if you're here to harass." Chad raised both hands, mock innocent. "Whoa, just browsing." He wandered toward the front display case, where the gallery kept its most valuable piece. A delicate glass sculpture shaped like a soaring dove, worth thousands. He lifted it gently. "Oops," he muttered with a grin. Mia's heart seized. "Please put that down. It's fragile." He pretended to stumble. The sculpture slid into her open tote bag, hidden beneath baby supplies. Chad regained balance exaggeratedly and glanced toward the security camera, its red recording light flickering suspiciously. Then he strolled out, whistling. Seconds later, 2 security guards rushed in. "We got a theft alert!" A panic Mia had never known crashed over her. Elena's sharp eyes widened at the sight of the bag, then of Mia's trembling face. The guards demanded the tote. Leon, the taller guard, broad-chested, thick beard, wrinkled forehead from years of dealing with drunks, spoke gently. He didn't want to believe she was a thief, but protocol required suspicion. Inside the bag, the dove glimmered like a captured lie. "Mia Thompson, you are under arrest for larceny," one officer declared moments later. His name tag read, "Officer Ramirez, mid-30s, stoic, with tired brown eyes hinting at compassion beneath duty." "No, no, please, I didn't take anything," Mia cried as cold metal handcuffs clamped around her wrists. Buddy needed her. The baby fluttered inside her like a terrified heartbeat. She was losing everything in real time. Elena stood frozen, betrayal and confusion warring in her face. Mia's voice cracked under the weight of humiliation. I swear it wasn't me." Outside, camera flashes erupted. Reporters shouted questions. "Is this the woman suing the Harrington family? Is she a scammer? A danger to private property?" She felt the world closing its jaws. Then a familiar voice thundered, "Let her go." Ethan Parker strode through the crowd like a storm given human shape, his jaw tight, eyes burning with fury. Beside him walked an impeccably dressed man, Attorney David Chen, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper intellect, known across the city as the lawyer corporations feared. David lifted a tablet. "Gentlemen, I have evidence proving Miss Thompson was framed." He tapped the screen. A crystal-clear security recording played, Chad slipping the sculpture into Mia's bag, Chad signaling up toward the camera glitching, obviously hacked. Officer Ramirez exchanged a stunned look with his partner, frustration replacing suspicion. He removed the cuffs, his voice low with regret. "Miss Thompson, I'm sorry." On screens everywhere, Instagram feeds, news alerts, viral posts, an even louder narrative emerged. Pregnant woman, targeted by billionaire's son, full cover-up exposed. Cole Harrington's power cracked, his lies leaked, public rage ignited, and as Ethan placed his arm protectively around Mia's shoulders, the crowd's noise faded into a single, earth-steady truth. This war wasn't over. But Mia was no longer fighting alone. The sun slid lower along the Santa Monica horizon, staining the clouds in molten orange and shimmering rose. A gentle breeze came off the waves, carrying the smell of salt and fresh possibility. It was a different world now, one where chaos had finally loosened its grip on Mia's life, allowing peace to take its first cautious step through the door. Buddy limped proudly across the small wooden deck outside Wave and Wonder Cafe, the newly opened beachfront coffee and art shop that Mia now ran. The German Shepherd, once a broken heap on the pavement, moved with steady determination, supported by a specialized rehabilitation harness. The harness, with sleek straps and careful padding, had been chosen personally by Ethan, practical yet dignified, letting Buddy keep his pride. His back leg still betrayed a faint tremor, a reminder of that violent day, but his amber eyes were bright with triumph. Inside the cafe, laughter and conversation sparkled between tourists and locals alike. Wave and Wonder smelled of rich espresso, vanilla foam, and acrylic paint drying on canvas. Warm lights glowed above handwritten chalkboard menus, and Mia's paintings, seascapes that told stories of storms survived, lined the walls. A corner shelf proudly displayed dog treats labeled Buddy's Picks. Mia moved behind the counter with a grace she thought she'd lost forever. Her belly was now rounder, 8 months pregnant, and she had swapped stress for strength. Her brown hair was tied loosely, a few strands falling over her freckled cheeks as she plated pastries and smiled at guests. For the first time in her adult life, her smile reached her eyes. Ethan Parker walked in carrying a box under one arm. He had traded his usual immaculate button-ups for a soft gray t-shirt and dark jeans, giving the impression of someone finally relaxing into happiness. His rugged jawline looked less tense now, and there was a warmth in his blue eyes that appeared the moment they landed on Mia. His tech empire was still running, but he had learned to slow down, to breathe, to live. He approached the counter and set down the box. "Special delivery," he announced. Mia lifted the lid to reveal freshly printed cafe merchandise, mugs with Buddy's silhouette and the shop logo, postcards featuring her artwork, and a small stack of flyers promoting an upcoming art show. "Ethan," she breathed, overwhelmed. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," he said simply. A small cough sounded near their feet. Buddy sat between them, tail thudding against the floor as if urging them to focus on what really mattered, each other. Mia glanced at Ethan, emotion catching in her throat. She remembered every moment since he walked back into her life, the rescue, the sleepless nights in hospital waiting rooms, the fierce protection, the way he had stood between her and cruelty without hesitation. He had loved her once, long ago, and maybe he never stopped. She rested a hand on her belly, feeling a tiny kick beneath her palm. "He likes when you're here," she whispered. "The baby, I mean." Ethan's expression softened into something unguarded and pure. His voice lowered. "I like being here too, with you, both of you." Before she could respond, the cafe door chimed again. In walked Detective Nora Hayes, the lead investigator on the Harrington case. A woman in her early 40s with a firm stride, dark red hair pulled into a functional ponytail, and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. A faint scar near her lip hinted at a past confrontation, perhaps a case that struck too close to home. But today she carried good news. "Thought you'd want the update," she told Mia, sliding into a seat. "Pierce and Cole Harrington pled guilty this morning. Felony hit and run, bribery, intimidation, full list longer than my grocery receipt." Mia felt her knees weaken. Ethan steadied her waist instinctively. Tears brimmed, but did not fall. Not grief now, but relief. Detective Hayes continued, "They're not ruining anyone else's life for a long time. And Mia, your name is cleared everywhere. You're officially the woman who beat the rich and heartless." Mia let out a shaky laugh. "I didn't beat them, I just didn't give up." "Same thing," Hayes smirked, then nodded goodbye, tipping $2 into the tip jar labeled Buddy's Treat Fund. Buddy barked proudly. As the sunset deepened into violet, Ethan helped Mia close up the cafe. They walked outside, Buddy trotting ahead in protective formation. The beach glowed like a dream, soft sand, calm waves, the last light dancing on the water like melted gold. Ethan paused near the shoreline, turning to face her. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the ocean. "Mia," he said, voice low but full of conviction, "I want to be here. With you. With him." He nodded toward her belly. "Not because I pity you, because I love you. I always have." Mia inhaled, the ocean filling her lungs with courage. She slipped her hand into his, fingers interlocking naturally, as if they had never stopped holding on. Buddy, excited by the shift in atmosphere, bounded forward a few steps before turning back with a proud bark. Mia leaned her head against Ethan's shoulder, her heart no longer afraid. She had battled the world and survived. Now, hope wasn't a distant shore. It was home. Buddy ran ahead along the beach, his noble limp barely noticeable under the setting sun. His scar told a story not of defeat, but of victory, a hero's mark. As the last rays of daylight wrapped around their three silhouettes, Mia whispered, "We made it." The tide answered, whispering back a promise. This is just the beginning. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with lightning from the sky or angels bursting through the clouds. Sometimes a miracle looks like a loyal German shepherd who never stops fighting. Sometimes it's a friend who steps back into your life at the exact moment your strength is gone. And sometimes it's simply having faith that God has not forgotten you, even when the world tries to push you into the dark. Mia and Buddy remind us of a truth we often forget. No one is invisible to God. Not the poor, not the broken, not the ones trying to hold on with trembling hands. When cruelty tried to silence them, God sent protection. God sent justice. God sent love back into their lives. So, if you are watching this and your heart feels weary, if you are fighting a battle no one else sees, please remember, God still places unseen guardians on your path, just like He did for Mia and Buddy. If this story touched your soul, please share it, so more people remember the power of kindness. Leave a comment with just one word, Amen, to show you believe in second chances. And please subscribe so you never miss stories of hope, courage, and loyalty that lift the spirit. We pray that God blesses you and your family, protects every creature who gives us love, and surrounds you with angels, whether they walk on two legs or four. Amen.